Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second and a half episode of Streamrolled. We've lost a little bit of content, but I'm going to give you a quick update on what's gone on in last week's episode. Our intrepid band of 3 adventurers decided they were going to leave the Spiral Rock island that they were on, head to another one that was about 60 miles away. The journey was rather uneventful, but eventually when they got there, they traveled inland. They found the first of 2 caves of the night, in which was a small boat. This boat was a bit battered, and on it there was a dead body of a man wearing armor that had the symbol of an organization called the Blackfield Company attached to it. They decided there was nothing in there worth keeping apart from some fishing rods and a set of armor, which they very rapidly picked up. They traveled off inland a little bit further, encountering a rather large feather. Following the map, they went up the side of a cliff. They passed by a rock's nest without managing to get themselves attacked. Descended down a hidden trapdoor, ended up in the room that they're in now, where they've just finished dispatching a couple of skeletons and unlocked the puzzle to get through to the next room.
Well, that was a little bit of a brain teaser, but if you two are feeling fit and able, I reckon we should probably explore the rest of this cursed ruin.
I suppose we don't have anything better to do.
Ah, that's the spirit.
Map sent us here for a reason, so let's figure out why.
Treasure can't be the bird.
And don't forget, we best act while the positive feelings from the magical brew I shared with you are still in our systems.
Just a reminder to everyone that because Bauram is a beer cleric, he's able to turn any body of water into an alcoholic substance of his choosing, usually beer or ale. It provides certain benefits to his companions. In this case, they've all decided to go for a +1 armor.
Quite so mysterious voice. Anyway, if you two are armed and ready, Ishmael,
Aye.
feeling good?
I mean, I've been worse for wear, so I'm ready to press on. I'll kind of brandish the short sword that I took off the Dragonborn's body.
Ah, well, good, that's the spirit. And Rashida, we know you're ready to go. Right. Form up on the door, everyone. Let's see what awaits us on the other side.
Okay.
DM, I am
So-
unable to move my token.
Drag a new one out.
I can do one out.
Okay. Oh God.
She's multiplying.
I think I'm seeing
And
several of
she's
myself. That's a strong brew.
losing control.
That's what did you put in that bed? I can see multiples of myself.
Well, I mean, we did find it. You know, it's made from possibly centuries old water we found in a cursed temple. So, you know, it's probably got a bit of a kick.
Also, can I have vision?
Single or double?
I had triple for a moment. Oh.
Okay. So the door swings open as Bauram kind of tweaks the handle, opening into another room where you can see an eyeball that's emitting a cone of light out into a large radius, and 2 more skeletons are stood swaying on a platform, maybe 10 feet up from where you are now, but it doesn't look like they've noticed you yet.
Alright, I'm gonna turn quietly to Rashida. Oh yeah. Either of you two reckon you could sneak up and get the drop on them?
Oh, I think I could. Perhaps.
Possibly.
But as you're waiting and talking, you can see that the eyeball that's emitting light is slowly rotating around the room.
You know, I've no reason to really assume this, but I've just got a hunch that you probably want to stay out of that light.
Gotta be.
I mean, it looks magical, and I've got a feeling that eyeball can, maybe actually see.
We'd have to be quick and silent then.
Quite so. If it goes pear-shaped, I'll drop in with some magical beer flames.
Alright, that's the plan. Should I take the lead?
By all
Ah,
means,
cool.
ladies first.
Alright.
Very chivalrous of you, Ishmael.
Well,
Okay.
I didn't have any of your special
I
health.
can't.
So
I can't see the eye from this corner. Can someone give me a signal as for why when it's looking away?
Bauram will wait until he can, until the opportune moment to move, and then signal Rashida.
Right.
The edge where Rashida would be standing now.
I need an actual signal, please.
Go.
Alright. And so very silently, I roll into the room, and it's kind of get, I guess.
Right. So as Rashida steps out into the shadow itself sort of lunges and reaches out for you. Roll initiative, please.
That was a bad idea.
can't even
Oh,
walk
Sorry.
through a door. We've had nothing but bad luck with this door.
So that comes to Ishmael. Sorry, I do apologize. That comes to Bauram first.
Right. So Bauram, seeing this shadow lunge at Rashida, will probably just sort of go, "Oh, damn it all," and just push past her and move round, like basically push between them to sort of save her, and then swing at the shadowiness with his warhammer, which
Go ahead, roll to
presumably
attack.
is glowing.
Yes. So as you've come back into this room, the glow that had faded from that warhammer has rejoined it. And go ahead, roll your attack for me.
Cool. In fact, oh wait, little bit. Wait, how many? Wait, oh, sorry, my screen filled up with things.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll get there.
I'm going to, sort of having moved in and seen what's going on, he's gonna move a little more before he attacks. So I'm gonna exploit that.
Okay, so as you move into the darkness yourself, another of the shadows starts to kind of materialize and is reaching out. And as you move through, that eyeball ticks around one more position.
Okay, well then I am going to attack the one that lunged at Rashida. That is 21 to hit, 9 blood.
14
21.
hits.
Yeah.
Oh, because you're flanking, of course. Yeah. 9 minus 9. So that hits. That kind of comes through, and there's a fair amount of substance to it. It's very much like as you swing down, your hammer comes through, and the light that's coming off it disappears as it passes slowly through the kind of gelatinous form of the shadow that parts around. It doesn't quite come back to its full strength. As you swing again, that eyeball starts to move another kind of portion. The shadow itself is still in its process of reaching out for Rashida, the original target that came into the room. Its long, twisting tendrils come out, and Rashida takes 10 points of necrotic damage from its touch, and I also need you to roll a d4 for me, please.
Yes.
And that will reduce your strength by that amount.
Modifier or
turns-
ability?
The ability.
Okay,
The ability.
so 12 then. No,
So
that's
as it
dexterity, I
turns
believe.
and that cone of light that's being emitted from the eyeball comes back in, both shadows kind of disappear off again. They fade away.
Okay, seeing
And
that
you don't
happen.
You don't have very long before it's going to move off you again.
Okay,
what
seeing
do you
that
wanna do?
happen, Bauram's just gonna sort of shout to the others, like, change in plan, stay in the light.
Okay, so as the light is going to move, and it's not moving so quickly that with a bit of a brisk jog, you wouldn't be able to follow it around the room. Is that kind of your intention, to follow it as
Yeah.
far as it goes?
Yeah.
So, and Ishmael, are you coming along for the ride?
Oh yeah, I was going to dash like right up next to the eyeball after hearing Bauram say that.
Okay, so it puts you lot here, and it puts Ishmael on his Todd directly in front of the eyeball where the light is coming from. So he's gonna move around, and it gives you a bit of a better view of the room. I'm assuming you're staying in it. The room goes into two ways. There's a door on the south side, and there's a corridor on the east wall that has another patch of light in it. Where do you want to go? Do you want to try the door while you have the chance to get there, or do you want to run into the other pool of light from the eyeball?
Well, you're leading the way, Rashida.
I say we go to the light so we can stay there and come up with a better game plan than this.
Alright, I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, bugger.
In the puddle of light with a chest in front of you and another eyeball kind of staring down, but this one seems to be stationary, and it has at the base of it an old ship wheel is kind of sticking out, jutting around the eye itself. There is a shadow of the creature that you can see lurking just on the edge of the light from the eyeball, but it doesn't seem willing to pass into it.
So, as a sort of, gesture of defiance, Bauram's going to cast Sacred Flame on this
Okay.
thing that's here.
Roll your
Yeah.
attack.
Be gone, foul beast! So
It
that's a
takes
DC 13 dex save.
And that's radiant damage as well.
Mm.
So it does fail its save, and that's enough that it kind of pushes off further into the darkness, away from you. Seems to be heading towards the back of the room. Disappears underneath the doorway.
Alright, well,
We're still
Oh,
carrying
sorry,
our
you were
torches.
I don't
Is it-
know if it
Yeah.
torchlights making much of a difference though. It seems to be whatever the source of life its eyeballs is
That seems to be the
something
case.
special.
maybe it's the magical nature of the light that discourages the creatures. I have heard tell of such things.
I was going to ask if you knew anything about it. It's odd in nature.
Yeah, no, such things are not so uncommon. We briefly covered it in my cleric's training.
Well, what do you think it could be then? What the source do you reckon?
Oh, what the light itself? I have no idea. I mean, these eyeballs appear to be some sort of enchantment. Beyond that, It's beyond my expertise, but the shadow spirit creatures are, fairly common amongst old ruins.
Correct. Bauram, do you know if it's possible to touch it or not? Because maybe we can bring it with us.
I mean, let me have a closer look. Do you want to have a look at this chest? Could be something interesting inside.
Yeah, could do.
I'm gonna, as Bauram's passing by, I'm gonna hand him a spear if he wants to poke the eyeball with the spear.
Well, I mean, I've got my hammer,
Well, I
It'll
guess
poke.
It's more of a
But thanks.
poking implement than nudging it with a hammer.
Well, I've not gotten to the poking stage. I'll consult with you when I do.
All right.
But yeah, I'm gonna
So-
go and inspect it closely, see if I can gain any insight as to what it is and whether it's dangerous.
So unlike the other one that was kind of free moving, this one seems to be latched into a position on a kind of. It's like a ship's wheel has been laid down flat, and it could be turned around on a ratchet and paw system. So the ratchet is clicking up into place as each spoke of the wheel goes past, stopping it moving any further. You are correct in that it is definitely arcane in nature. Your dwarven eye would tell you that it's probably made out of the same kind of stone that a drift globe is made from. A magical trinket that will follow its bearer around, shedding arcane light, which would be the source of magic that is driving the shadows away.
Alright, well, I'll turn back to the others and go. It's basically a fanciful version of a drift globe that's been lashed down. And I know drift globe light can drive off, some kinds of dark spirit beings. So, they're just not dead keen on it. It appears this particular one is on a spoked wheel, so I'm guessing we can turn it round to maybe face the door so we can get there when we need to. But for now, I reckon this chest is definitely worth looking into. Have you found anything, Rashida?
Yeah, so while he investigates, she would have bent down and taken a look at it.
It doesn't appear to be trapped. Yeah, no, I'm happy what your base stat is. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be trapped, but it does appear to be that it's quite a heavy stone lid that has been put down on top of it. There are no really distinct markings on the side. However, the object on top has inlaid carving of the city of Nota, but on top of that, and kind of an ink graffiti has been putting on. It's an outline of a very large squid.
Does it look like the same that was on the necklace that I took from the skeleton?
It's not identical, but it is very similar.
If my guess was correct, considering the Nota thing here, I'd say that this might be what was hidden here. Perhaps.
Well, we'd best get it open then.
Does anyone have anything I can use for leverage to open it up? I think it looks safe, but it is a lot more heavy than would be possible to open as it is.
I'm a bit concerned. This emblem that's been kind of painted on here, it's similar to the Kraken necklace that I found.
Oh.
And also, are we sure this is a chest and not a coffin?
I mean, I guess chests are just called.
You raise an interesting question. Yeah, let me have a look at
Coffins
it.
just chests for dead bodies?
I mean, I suppose, but usually you don't want to be dipping your fingers in it.
Depends on the guy, I guess, but to be fair, people buried are often buried with treasure. So
It seems strange to have, someone in a coffin when all the other bodies are walking around.
Yeah, but we also have these shadowy figures floating around too. I've had my share
Well-
of ghost stories, and usually a ghost is tied to some kind of corporeal thing at one point in life.
You know,
Well, these are not so much ghosts in the traditional sense. I mean, it's kind of complicated to go into, but
Bauram,
I mean they are dangerous.
Bauram, if these
What?
shadowy things are walking around, do you think that whoever is buried here could also have something magical about them? Any chances of Draugr coming out?
I mean, I'm not convinced it's a coffin. I'm pretty sure it's a chest, but I mean, if you two don't want to open it, I will be outvoted. But
I mean,
I'm
treasure
pretty
hunting-
confident this is the treasure that the Kraken cult have hidden here, and I think we should find out what it is.
Treasure hunting or grave robbing. I mean, we came down here for a reason. Let's crack it open, I guess, and no pun
If a
intended.
Draugr comes out, I'll bash it on Ed.
Alright,
don't
you
worry.
do that, and I'm gonna take the spear and just try to wedge it between the lid and the chest itself.
Okay, go ahead. Give me a strength check with advantage because you've got a lever.
It's 20 plus minus. Or no, that's bless. I don't know what.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's less. I'll take that. We'll take that off in a bit. Okay. For the minute, we can just ignore it. So, as the chest swings open, slowly this sort of skeletal form starts to raise up out of it.
I bloody knew it.
Drop the lid!
I will ask you for initiative, but I will give you a surprise round as well, please. So, descending.
Will it replace our former initiative?
Will replace your former initiative
Okay.
if you roll it for me.
Damn.
No, giving you a surprise round because Bauram had a readied action. So we do play a little bit loose with the rules around here. So the people watching know the way I run surprise is Bauram has declared he has a readied action. He's getting the movement before everybody else. So everyone whose initiative is higher than Bauram would in this case be counted as surprise. It just works out that the very first time we've done this, Bauram happens to have gotten a 1 initiative, so it would mean that only he is getting to go. However, it's just a home rule that we play with here. But Bauram, you do get to act first in this case.
Well, I'll make the most of me smash. So yeah, as it sits up, he's just gonna sort of jump back in surprise for a second, and then just swing both hands right into its face as it's sat up. Just absolutely demolish its head.
Okay,
Hopefully.
go ahead.
Am I
attack
flanking?
with advantage? You're not, but it's prone, so you do have advantage.
Alright.
It's kind of rising up out of the thing. Okay, so that's 8 bludgeoning, and then you can feel as your hammer has come down, passing through this crumbling skull of the undead creature. There's this kind of jolt of light comes out, and the bones of the skeleton release this purple vapor into the air, and it simply crumples backwards.
Does the vapor look poisonous?
It looks like it's the essence of the creature leaving and moving back into the ether, as opposed to it being a gas that you would inhale. It's certainly magical in nature rather than material.
Yeah, so it just sort of effervesces away rather than spreads into the air. Right. Okay. Well, there you go. You were right. It was a Draugr, but nothing to worry about. Bauram's going to sort of grab what's left of the skeleton and sort of heave it out of the sort of box onto the floor. You're like, right, what else is in there?
So, having a look through the coffin, it's fairly easy to see. In itself, there is quite a what was once quite a nice lining has been placed in here. Looks like it was kind of silk at one point, but is very much rotted away and become a bit stained. There are, however, a very high quality set of armor that he's still wearing that seems to be even now unblemished by time. It looks like it would be a breastplate equivalent, at least not necessarily the style of today's armor. It's more laminated layers as opposed to the solid pieces that you would be more traditionally use. It suggests there's a lot of age to the component, but it's still in remarkably good condition. It is a non-magical but intricately carved longsword, and he also seems to have been laid to rest with a longbow and a quiver of arrows. As well as around the skeleton's neck, you find a compass that does not point north.
Which way does it point?
At the
Bearing in
moment,
mind we have a compass, so we can compare it to north.
it is pointing northwest.
Seems to be a little broken, this compass.
Perhaps it's pointing to something else of interest.
Could be. Worth hanging on to then. Here. I'm just going to chuck it to Rashida. And
Catch it.
So when Rashida holds it, the compass, yes, you're a dexterous rogue. I'll say you can do that. When Rashida holds the compass, it's pointing to northeast. Okay, kicks and changes and settles.
It changed. Am I a magnetic field now?
Well, that is interesting.
Let me take a look at that then.
He's gonna hand it over to Ishmael gently.
So it then goes to northeast.
That's very bizarre.
Well, that definitely bears further inspection. Once we're out of this dangerous, environment.
Great.
Yeah, you keep that in your pocket. Keep it safe. What about the rest of this? Who wants the bow? Who out of you two is a better shot? I am not a good shot.
I can show, but I prefer not to.
I mean, I've held a bow, but I wouldn't say I'm good at it at all. This kind.
Well,
anyway.
one of you is gonna have to take it, because
Yeah, probably.
I might as well just throw the arrows at him.
Did you want to take a Rashida? I've got the short sword, and I think you've only got that oar.
Who's
I got
taking the long sword?
I got a tiny dagger. Perhaps I should have the sword instead of just this dagger. It might be able to do something more efficient than poking people.
Yeah, you take the sword. That way, we both got a sword. Bauram's got his hammer.
I was also kind of interested in taking his fancy armor he's got there. I think that'd look good on me. And
Okay.
also, then one of you two can have this leather armor that I'm wearing, like a hand-me-down, if you're not too proud for that.
I don't know. Would it fit on either of us?
Well, yeah, no, it's got like these straps in the side. You can just like hoist it in and out. I mean, it only covers your chest and like the tops of your shoulders. It's not like great, but it's better than nothing.
Nice. I'll take out the long sword and pass it over to Rashida.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sling the bow over my shoulder too. I'm not gonna be able to do much with it, but we probably shouldn't.
Okay, so mechanically, it would take about 10 minutes for you to don and doff the armor sets, and I'm happy in that time that if you want to spend a hit die or two, you can go ahead and do that as well. This would count as a short rest in a rather dangerous location. So if you do decide to going to take the short rest, I would ask you to also roll a d12 for me.
Are we doing that?
I don't know. Are you changing your armor?
I mean, I'm inclined to. I mean, it does seem a trifle unwise, I suppose. Maybe we should just take it with us.
Just chuck it by the door and pick it up on our way out?
I suppose that is an option. I mean, there is perhaps something to be said. I mean, Rashida, you took quite the hit from that ghostly monstrosity.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't feel too great about it. It seems a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, you do look a little drained. It may be in our interest perhaps to quit while we're ahead. Maybe, take this, get out for now while we can, camp somewhere safe, and maybe if we leave out, out into the first room we came in, where the pool of water is, and we can bar the door, camp in there, and then maybe come back in and do a little more exploring once you're both feeling a little more rested.
And I wouldn't disagree to that. I don't think we should leave all the way because we don't know if Mother's come home to roost yet.
Well, exactly. At least we're safe from both in there.
If the door is closable or barable.
That's
I
true.
reckon it will be.
Okay, so kind of make your way back across the room. I'm assuming being careful to stay in the light as it rotates around. And as it does, this time as you're passing the northeast corner of that room, you do notice there's a pile of crates and boxes and stuff that looks much newer than any of the other construction in the room. It seems to have a variety of different ships' logos and stuff on it as you're getting there. None of it is, Nota or the like. It's all its own independent vessels have the logos attached to it, but you don't have a great deal of time as the arrow is it moves across it sort of 4 or 5 seconds as you pass across it. Eventually you get back into the little door, and it seems like it would be barrable from this side, and from the stairwell that you came down you can now hear a fairly substantial rumbling noise and the ruffling of what do sound to be very large feathers.
What about
Well,
going
I
outside?
suppose camping here seems like a nice option.
Well, we got alcohol and we got a roof. And
Aye,
we're
I
not being
think
cold.
I've still got a few bits and pieces of food. Plus those crates in there, I reckon there might be something worth having in them.
Considering the guests that are walking in the same place, I'm not quite so sure they're still fresh or edible.
Well, but they looked a lot newer. I mean, may not be the best, but there may be something worth having. I mean, someone obviously put them there for safekeeping. They've been scavenged. There must be something in it.
There had to have been a way for them to put that in there without being attacked as well. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a fresher body. Okay? Does anybody
Unless
recall
it
when
was
we were by that center eye, if that had a similar ratchet system to it? Be able to control its movement?
I mean, it seemed to be just turning. It seemed to be just freely moving. Presumably by some sort of enchantment. You could maybe try
So
grasping it and holding it still. Sorry.
So just to give you a better description of what the eye looks like, it's stood on a pedestal, and then the pedestal that it's on is slowly rotating. But there is a little bit of a mechanical click behind it, so perhaps just some kind of mechanism that is making it do so.
Do you think it would be possible to just lift the eye off the pedestal bottom?
I, you got as good a look at it as I did. Well, in fact, Ishmael, you were stood right in front of it. What do you reckon?
I don't really recall. I was trying my best not to get attacked by the shadows that attacked Rashida.
Hmm.
I don't mind running out there again. I've done it once before. I'm fairly confident I can do it a second time and take a closer look at it.
Well, if you're sure.
I'm going to do that. I'm gonna take the bow off so that I don't have anything restricting me and kind of shove the sword into my belt.
So as you
And
step out again,
I was
you
going to
can
say,
see
just
that the-
before that happens, Bauram is going to stand in the doorway, as behind him, and ready an action to cast Sacred Flame on any of the shadows that appear near him.
Okay.
And I'm going to
So
wait
as Ish,
till the eye's facing the door and just like mad dash straight toward.
okay, so you walk out and you do, it's difficult, but it's certainly not impossible for you to get up to you're in what would be called base to base with the eye, and you can see it's a long, fairly spindly pedestal that it's stood up on, and it looks like it's been bolted down into place with a metal strap over the top of the eye that's holding it in. And now that you're stood there, you can see there's a socket in the ceiling that it looks like the eye could also fit into, fairly corresponding to the one that it's in at the moment.
There's a socket in the ceiling that the eye might be able to go into, but no idea how to get it up. It seems like it's bolted down to this pedestal as well.
Mm. Can you see any levers or anything?
Look for a lever.
As the light kind of walks around the room and it guides you there isn't a lever per se, but in this, as you pass this corner, there's a separate green globe that's held in place by three scraggly, crooked green hands that are kind of wrapped in gold rings and fine filament. The hands themselves are rather grotesque, but the ornamentation on them is rather, for want of a better word, beautiful. But there isn't a lever per se.
Something glittery and grotesque in the corner, but I'm not sure if I can get there without getting attacked.
Well, I mean, they do seem to really dislike it when I set them on fire. So, I don't know, maybe if just one came out at a time, we could drive them off fairly reliably.
Possible. You say the drift globe eye thing is like belted down to the pedestal, right?
Yes, but the pedestal is rather fragile.
But
I was
what
going to say,
is it, like a
yeah,
leather belt?
Rashida, draw your bow, just in case.
Well, the bow is just on the floor.
Yeah, Rashida, pick that up. Knock an arrow, just in case one of those shadows turns up.
Alright. It's gonna pick
And
the
try
bow
not to shoot Ishmael. Or me.
Yeah, gonna pick it up and stand behind Bauram so I can like look over him and just ready in action in case it's needed.
Rashida, did you take your long rest? Or sorry, your short rest while you were in this room?
No, we started running out into the room.
Well, we could have rested beforehand. We were just sort of talking.
I don't think
if you Let's say no, and we will come back to it because it feels like we've carried on.
Fair enough.
I'm wondering if I take my sword, if I can cut through this belt and just hold on to the eye.
Yeah, you can. Kind of as you cut it, the eye starts to float up into the air, and you'd have to hold it down to stop it moving up. But it does stop rotating around the room once you've cut it free from the pedestal. The pedestal on its own continues to rotate, but the eye wants to float.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like holding onto the eye, like cradling it against my chest, kind of pointing it forward.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you've solved our little problem there. Can you move that around freely?
I believe I can. I think I'm just taking the role of a pedestal right now.
You can walk with the eye, but still the light that comes out of it is omnidirectional or single directional.
So I'm carrying a big old halogen flood lamp then.
Pretty much, you've got a big flood lamp. It's kicking out about 20 feet of bright light.
Okay.
Well, do you want to take that over and illuminate those boxes, and we'll have a look what's in them?
Right. I'll go on ahead of me so that I can keep you in the light.
I'm just
Will
gonna
do.
stay in the entrance in case it's needed with the air ready.
You should probably hang back, Rashida. You don't want to catch another one of those.
No,
I don't know
I'd
what
like
you
to enjoy
call it.
I'd
The
like to enjoy
caress
that.
of death. So that was a
So
little
having a route,
melodramatic.
The Black Death.
Anyway, sorry.
having Bauram have a route through the boxes and crates that are here. Most of it appears to just be various sundry of ships that would pass. So there's a bit of fishing tackle. There's a couple of buoys that would be used as flotation for nets. None of it looks particularly valuable. There is a document that appears to be written in maybe Orcish, maybe Goblin. That looks to be a ship's log, or at least a crew log of some kind. But nothing in here seems particularly useful. You do, however, find 3 rucksacks and a couple of sets of clothes that look like they would fit everybody. That would give you insulation against the cold weather.
Oh, well, that's something at least. Change of clothes would definitely come in handy. I am starting to reek.
Thought it'd be nice to not, freeze.
Well, I'm that, yes.
You wanna drag that into the room?
Also, what do you think? Here, you're a ship's man, Ishmael. Some of this tackle, like these nets and buoys and whatnot, could we maybe, repurpose those to some boat construction of our own?
I don't see why we couldn't. Rope is rope.
That's what I was thinking.
Make a
Well-
flag out of the rope and the not a flag, a sail. Flag and rope from the ship and the cave. But it always 4 lengths. We could also use the netting to maybe trawl while we're sailing. Try to get some catch.
Ah. You are smarter than you appear, Ishmael. No offense.
Well, you smell better than you think. Bauram. I'm not good with compliments.
I'll just take it in good grace. Anyway, don't drop the light. I'm gonna drag these crates back into the other room, which I then do.
I shall
So-
follow behind.
So you end up back, and kind of as you're going, the light doesn't want to cross the border of the room, but with a little bit of a shove, it eventually gets through, and it comes in, and it lights up kind of several ruins on the side of this room. They all kind of come into existence as the light of the drift globe is portrayed onto them, and it is kind of, it's not really in any language, but it's also there's little bits of snippets of words that you can pick out of them. It's talking about a calamity, and it's talking about the plane of water, but there isn't really any more there that you can pick out, because it doesn't seem to be a different language. It seems to be common, but a much more rudimentary version.
All right. Not undercommon.
No,
I was just reaching. What would I, as a cleric and therefore, godly person, know about the plane of order?
sorry, the plane of water.
Water. Oh, right. Sorry, misheard you.
Well, do you
Yeah, no,
know anything
100%,
about
that's
about the calamity?
Well, the
right. As a
calamity. Oh, sorry. Go.
oh no, go ahead. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, I know as much as most, calamity was what created the great sea, the inland sea, the freshwater. There was some magical calamity. What was it, 1,000, 2,000 years ago? There are a few theories as to what exactly took place. Unfortunately, it's quite hard to know for definite. There are several learned scholars looking into it, but the upshot is basically the civilization that predates our own. Mostly gnomes, as far as I'm aware, with some elves.
Bauram, you kind
You're
of
gonna
drifted off and stared into space.
Sorry,
Also
I
the
was just
headphones.
reminiscing about my time at the brewistery, and this ale is actually slightly stronger than I thought it would be. To be honest, I think I might have another.
Do you smell toast?
But yeah, where was I?
About 1,000, 2,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, about 1,000, 2,000 years ago, there was this big magical calamity. That's what we call it. Wiped out the civilization previous to our own, gnomes and whatnot. Created the inland sea. Beyond that, we don't really know. Few people are looking into it, but our best scholars have little more than guesswork really at this point. The ruins themselves are full of arcane horrors and ancient ghosts and whatnot, so makes the scholars a little scared to go and investigate.
More blood ghosts. So you reckon
Hmm.
some of these words might be 1,000, 2,000 years old?
Well, I don't know if that's what we're dealing with here. I mean, it referring to the calamity means they're obviously more recent than that, but how recent is really anyone's guess. It's hard to tell how old they are because they're magically inscribed. I mean, on closer inspection, is it possible to gauge any kind of age on them?
You're a dwarf. Do you have the whole stone good at advantage for perception checks related to stone?
I think I might be the wrong kind of dwarf for that. Or is that all dwarves? Hang on, wait, where would it say that? Wait, stone cunning. Oh no, I do have that. Yeah.
Okay, so you do
I
have stone cutting. That's
Yes.
what I was looking for. I could not recall the name. Right. I'm gonna ask you for a history check with advantage plus your wisdom modifier. Because it's a few things shoved together. So
All right. So that is cool.
And
12,
what's
take
your
it or
wisdom
leave it.
modifier?
Sorry.
What's your wisdom modifier?
Oh, that is +3, so 15.
So 15. Okay. Translating itself, the closest language you would say is common. But because the stonework here is more recent than the ruins that you know of, your hunch about it being this side of the calamity are correct. However, with a little bit of further investigation, it seems that it's talking about the bodies that are entombed here were people who were responsible for the calamity.
Well, that is quite a revelation. Yeah, from what it says, apparently these poor folk, or maybe not so poor folk, are the ones responsible for the calamity in question. So I guess we don't need to feel bad about smiting their ungodly corpses.
Suppose not. Perhaps when we make it back to the mainland, we should ask what the name of these islands are. They even know about the presence of bodies.
Hmm. I mean, hang on. Let me have a think. I feel like if the location of such a place was known, it would definitely be something I might have heard of. Let me have a think.
While
With,
Bauram's thinking, I want to kind of work some of the netting that we retrieved so that I can make like a
Are you going to make a
catch
drift?
for the drift
Are
globe.
you going to make it a drift globe balloon?
Yeah, basically, and then so I can like lash it to my waist so I can keep my hands free.
Yeah, you can do that. Not a problem.
Well,
For you to do that.
that's
Take you about 5 minutes. In that
oh,
time, Bauram would have come up with the fact that it's not necessarily known where the exact epicenter of the calamity was, but it does know that it was related to a war between two factions, and it looks like it was a stronghold of the faction that supposedly caused the initial magical problem, shall we say, or magical weapon of mass destruction. However, would be a better way to phrase that.
you heard the mysterious voice. um,
Are you sure that was just alcohol and not something else?
Oh, this whole bloody place is full of ghosts. It could have been anything.
no, so I feel like now we know the nature of this place. It could contain some really dangerous thing. I feel like we maybe got lucky. If we push too deep here, we could uncover something really unpleasant.
I agree, but I've got an itch in my teeth, and I want to know what that sparkly bit was. And now that I got this, I'm gonna kind of smack the drift globe. I want to take a closer look at it.
I
I don't think
appreciate your enthusiasm, but
Just look kind of
I think we should rest first.
that, and I don't think the eye appreciates being smacked like it's a horse.
yes,
It's
kind
an
of
inanimate object, though.
it wobbles back and forth and spins around inside the net, but it is now starting to give off light in all directions as opposed to just the one coming forward as it rubs up against the side of the rope that you've put it on. The enamel is starting to get scraped off the outside of it. It's pinging out light in more than one direction now.
Is it
Oh,
is it
look at
warm
that.
to touch?
No, it's actually rather cool to the touch. It seems, if anything, that it is drawing the energy to emit the light from the heat, the ambient heat in the air around it. So it's cooler to touch than any of the other surfaces around.
No, it's quite cool, which is perfect as winter approaches. Not that I'm gonna take it off.
Well, I can always make you more ale to keep the chill out. And we've got these lovely warm clothes now too, so there's that. But yes,
For saying it.
while we're here, before we go back in there, we should all take a rest and, change into our shiny new armor, or leathery new armor in some cases, and, get our breath back.
All right, I can.
It's been a
that.
day,
Good plan.
Okay. And as our compatriots settle down for their short break, we're going to do the same. As a collective, we're going to take about 15 minutes or so, and we'll come back. For those of you watching on YouTube, this will be cut, and there'll be a second episode put in around about now, which will be marked as part 3 of our series. But for those of you in our Twitch stream, we'll return maybe 15 minutes from now, and we'll carry on with the adventure of our 3 intrepid heroes to find out just what it is that they can discover about this particular place.